side of Main Street. From there, I drove to Gaia's house in Riverhead. She and I had banded together on those first nights following our father's departure, when Mom was so distraught she burned dinner, leaving us to make buttered toast or PB&J. We'd shared a room, and I used to crawl into her bed where we'd cry into a pillow so Mom didn't hear us. Or maybe I just wanted to be surrounded by a solid family unit. Kevin felt like a best buddy more than a brother-in-law, and Erica was my playmate as much as she was my niece. Today, Guy and I didn't cry. Didn't even hug. Just sat on the couch in the den and speculated on what Dad's life had been like these last few years, since we'd lost all contact with him. Maybe they finally got out and traveled, I said. Can you imagine Dad and Kathleen at Disney World, decked out in Hawaiian shirts and mouse ears? Maybe Kathleen needle-pointed him to death, said Gaia. What do you think things would have been like had he and Mom stayed together? We asked each other this question about once every 5 years. Gaia gave her usual answer. I don't know. Either Mom would have been less active or Dad would have been more active. No way would she have put up with his nitpickiness. There's a reason why Dad and Kathleen ended up together, I said. She was a perfect reflection of him. Maybe it was because I'd been so young when Dad left, but I hadn't remembered him as nitpicky. He was always aloof, with words, affection, praise. But he was, if nothing else, polite. And musical. He was a different person when playing an instrument, and he could play just about any instrument he picked up. In hindsight, it was the only time I ever saw him smile. Want to stay and get a pizza or something? Gaia asked. Sure, I said. She called Kevin, who was spending the day with Erica, and asked him to pick up a pie on their way home. You wouldn't have guessed that we'd just learned about our father's death, the way we all laughed and carried on as we normally did. First stage of grief was denial, right? Maybe that's what we were doing. Or maybe there wasn't much else to do. We had grieved the loss of our father years ago. After playing 3 games of acey-deucey with Erica, she kicked my butt, and finishing off the last of the chocolate chip cookies she had baked yesterday, I gathered my sweater, purse, and keys. Going home? Asked Gaia. Where else is there to go? You could stay here. And catch your icky cold? No thanks. She huffed. Too late for that. She paused for a beat. What about Mom? What about her? We should tell her. She has a right to know. And maybe she'll need some comfort. You think I should spend the night there? Big sister that she was, Gaia practically ordered me to do so. I called Mom and told her I was heading back to her house. Then I thanked Gaia and Kevin for the pizza and hugged them and Erica. From there, I drove back to Sag Harbor, as my brain rapidly spun a cycle of thoughts, memories, and images. My father walking out the door. No fight, no announcement, at least not to Gaia or me. Suitcase in hand, kissing us goodbye as if he were leaving for a business trip, and not the rest of our lives. Mom locked in her bedroom, so eerily quiet, as if she were invisible. And maybe she'd felt that way. The walls caving in as he departed, leaving us in the rubble. I don't think it would have been so crushing had it not been such a shock. There hadn't been a trace of discontent in my parents' marriage, at least none that my 10-year-old senses could detect. And kids tend to be pretty perceptive about such things, despite parents thinking they're doing a good job shielding their kids from it. Mom was waiting at the door when I trudged up the walkway. What couldn't you tell me over the phone? I entered the house and spied a plate of Zeppeli sitting on the kitchen island. Kathleen called Gaia this morning. Dad's dead, I said. Might as well tell it like it was. Mom turned her head away, staring into nothingness.